Welcome to my movie. And I was gonna act it out and have it look good, but fuck that, I don't care. So I'm just gonna read it to you. Mm, add the cutscene and everything. Let me tell you a story. What would you do if you knew this was your last day on Earth? Let me go back. At 28, I told myself at 30 that I'll put away childish things and actually try to branch away from my creative side. And for a year, it boomed. I saw the platform as a stage to express everything from music to humor to war. See, I felt like in that moment, full of people died in our streets over laws, protested, and all around genocide. See, if you put something right in front of someone and it catches their attention, well, they may never see around it. I saw that people overseas was crying out for help in the post after post after post after post. So I decided that I had built up an audience enough to share their tears. Then came the patterns. See, once you look around that thing that steals your attention, you begin to see the wires and the plans and everything manipulating itself on a path to that can only lead to one place. My opinion, it was all over real estate. Seeing the world facing overpopulation, land is the most precious resource. It isn't money. We make that. I guess one could say time, but you can't really sell that. No, it's land. And it's easier to kill for it. Getting off subject though. Right about half a second in my new year, I started to notice a change. My life wasn't really working out well. I had got married at 28 and wasn't really too good at that. I was laid off 4 years before that, so I barely was getting any money, but it was enough to survive. Granted, I was in the fucking screen most of the time. Fucking screens, bro. We live our lives in them. It's a fucking shame, really. I thought the robot takeover would be more apocalyptic, but no. We just kept upgrading. Consumerism. But the point was that I had everything I needed in the world. I was happy. I'd known my mom since birth, and I knew that that would be the only person I'd like to get in life. That I get in life like that. Or more say. While I was on my political soapbox online, damn near investing every second, I noticed that my family had begun to stiffen up. Frankly, I saw fear in their eyes. Days would pass with the arguments spoken loudly rooms away. I'm not gonna get shot out. I saw the fear in my closest loved one's eyes. Who was gonna shoot him up? Well, one day I woke with a voice in my head, and I started seeing patterns in people's choices of words. Then I remember back to when I was warned about how dangerous they were. How someone had seen them kick down a door and shoot a whole family, an old woman and her children. Hmm. And maybe that was even a motherfucking threat to me because it was said to me. Well, then I remember back to when I was warned about how dangerous they were. The only thing my mom could say was, "Well, what can we do about mobsters?" So I ran. My first thought was that it was localized. So I went to the next town over, crossed the bridge. I parked my car and started walking. The people in my head argued over and over, so it wasn't localized towards where I was living. I realized that this was in my head, and this is what my friends and family were hearing. So I realized they were being forced. I went to the ER to get an MRI, and the voices made my mom. I remember the day. They said, while I was waiting for my MRI, they said, well, he came and just dropped you off at the hospital. I think he deserved it. So they checked me in for a psychological evaluation. 2 weeks of my life I'll never get back. My mom had just got a new car. And when I did get back home, in those 3 weeks, the front had been hit and the back. And she was telling everybody she fell asleep at the wheel and ran into two objects, and the police stopped her. But when I looked at the seat was far way too up for my mama to drive. See, they had little signs like that all around, you know? And she ain't even filed a police report. So I called the police. I told them what happened, and I filed a report. First thing they said when they came out was, "You saying your sister drove it?" I wasn't saying it or even thinking it. You know what I mean? So I knew it was being forced towards there. But after about 3 weeks, I got back home. I knew I couldn't blame those around me. They had to do what they had to do. But the patterns, man. In 2014, everyone was either killed in a freak accident or set up in two different ways. My guess, eliminating the competition. But I saw it too late. I had persecuted my sister after I found the pipe and had me wondering, was it planned or was it really what it is? It's crazy though, because if you go from 2014 into now, we research all the people that were set up for non-violent crimes, and you research all the victims of those non-violent crimes. Not only that, people that's people who died from just crazy stuff. I'm talking about people my age in the last 2 years. You know what I mean? But these niggas gotta cover their tracks because they're exposing themselves. You know. But you research that shit and you'll see a pattern. You'll see a connection and draw a dot right to and you could say Baton Rouge is small and everybody is connected and everybody know each other, but it's bullshit. You'll see a couple of people, you know what I mean, that it'll lead to them. You check back, you check their history, you'll see a pattern. You know what I mean? That this shit isn't just fiction. Like I said, was the pipe planned or was it really what it was? I don't know. I knew I couldn't tell anyone though. This story starts off with voices in your head, and without proof, who believe me? They think I'm schizophrenic. Without the logic of knowing that you've been knowing a person all their life, or you've been seeing or heard from a person all their life, and they wouldn't up and instantly turn to the extreme of drastic evil situations. But these people were being put in this sense. Me especially because I wouldn't do what the fuck they say. Fuck them. You know what I mean? I was like, well, shit. If everybody could think what they want, I know me. But instantly thinking of how my mother and most of her family and friends went against every characteristic and faith, overall logic, and I was after years of peace and working to make it. I mean, like people who served God for like 60 plus years had to do and say ungodly things. But it fell. Fear their life. Fear of what they have been fucked off. They had to put up with some bullshit ass niggas who done found the right technology. I googled, but I couldn't find anything. There were times it felt like even my screens was infiltrated, so I looked for a way to save my friends first. I separated myself. I stopped talking to everyone, except my mom and nieces. I stayed for those 2 years with the most negative shit I could hear on the daily basis, and I watched everyone I cared for fall in line and say the most craziest shit I could hear, and look at me in the most stupidest way. So I started analyzing. See, if I spend too much time on puppets, then I'll never free them from the ventriloquists. I heard so much shit over the last 2 years, I just needed them to keep talking. Everyone I talked to, well, they just flipped the script and fell on in line. Puppets. So the obvious thing to do is to get them to focus on me and negate any personal feelings. I had to think, so the first thing I did was learn how to distract, keep them talking, and all the while thinking, well, no one can hear. I created an alternate mind, my own little attention to hide my own wires, a shell for everyone to see. But I had to learn to do that so long ago, since a kid, really. Cruise controlling through life while imagining in the back of my head. I think I perfected it in the mental hospital when I went for those 3 weeks. The antics got so crazy to what I would think in public that it shut me in more, really. Just dug deeper into myself and just held on to every emotion, every memory, and I just drowned in them. My every action was being filmed like some sick fucking Truman show. And it's funny, because back in college I used to joke about being on the Truman Show. But I had blocked out why I even felt that way. Remembering back, I couldn't even tell you. I just blocked it out, just kept going. And I wanted to find out why I even started thinking that in the first place. I always have felt reality was on rails, and I haven't fallen off track. I'm just moseying along, slow and steady. With my mom, wife, and my nieces being made to say exactly what the voices in their head wanted them to say, and being the only people in my life living in fear at 70. She survived the civil rights movement, protests, and had a good career teaching and preaching, and she got to 70 or 68 and had to be afraid. My sister had gone missing after the drugs argument, and I was pig-headed and stupid, but we only seen her here once and understand, and only underneath a tall, muscular guy who said he was a doctor. Protection, now that I think, I probably think not protection, but like kidnappers, I don't know. Then I remember when I went in, whose name was on all the emergency contact information? My sister. It was supposed to be my mom. Puppets, bro. So I dug deep into my thoughts and started seeing more patterns. I hear comments on my thoughts, those I couldn't mask, and I would suggest schizophrenia, but too many people have commented and were hurt by my thoughts. But I had bigger things to worry about. One day, over the constant negativity and trolling from everyone in slick phrases, fucking puppets. That's why I can't get mad. The ventriloquist is only imagining. But I've been creating realities all my life in my head, So when I imagine in my imagination, it's my own reality. I've been living in that while my own attention of a self. When I say attention, that it gathers everybody's attentions to defect from you actually seeing the wiring behind everything. I created that of myself like a shell so long ago. So with the ventriloquist, whoever was speaking through all these people and speaking to all these people, he was just only imagining because he wasn't doing it in real life. Even though it was real how they were talking. We just couldn't say it. And the tech been out there. It's actually possible. You know what I mean? Nobody cares because who's gonna spend all their time looking at somebody else's life? I've been creating realities my whole life. So when this alternate reality popped up where everyone could hear my thoughts, I was already into realities, the real, actual world, and my own imagination. See, I realized that they ran out of current material to use, posts, messages, when I'm just really networking, like, oh, that nigga want your pussy. Some shit like that. It's stupid. Whoever the fuck I would talk to. You know what I mean? Just for jokes. Badass jokes. But when they ran out of that and I stopped fucking with people, because remember, I separated myself. And being able to make more of their own content, they just started showing my reality, my dreams. That nigga them. But one day while watching Batman, the Batman movies, actually one with Jim Carrey in it, where he created a machine that broadcasted everyone's thoughts? I had forgot that shit. Something just told me to watch all the Batmans, but I know no, and the people in my head didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying watch all the Batmans. But I noticed that the doctor, like Bruce's Bond girl, she was a psychiatrist, and she had evaluated both Nigma and Bruce. It might have been Batman with schizophrenia. Big ass words written. As soon as I finished, really at Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I had started from Batman 1. Once I got to Arnold, I was done. And the bat skates. Anyway, when I got to the movie, I heard a voice telling me right after the Jim Carrey one, telling me over and over the trolls in my head, spewing negative shit in my ear all day long. Watch The Maturing Candidate 4 times, so I watched it. It was where a mind control soldier tried to fumble up an election while being brainwashed. I saw so many cues in that movie. First off, the senator looked exactly like the presidential candidate and had a ferocity that one might think she might have. And a phrase stuck throughout the whole movie and then replayed over for 2 days straight. Do the right thing for for the country. Do what's right for the country. The ass clowns didn't know who said it or watched the Manchurian Candidate, but I know I was thinking it. I would think the original ass clowns in my head was just trolling, but I don't think they even know or gave a fuck about what the Manchurian Candidate was. I thought it was crazy if not when I left my room. Mind blown already. I saw a brand new crock pot. Now let me take you back because when the political soapbox thing began, I started saying that guys like us, we were patriots, doing the right thing by spreading news that the TV wouldn't dare talk about. But I quit. I mean, I battled through the voices, but all while sharing. Ceasefires, the whole world requested through sharing. I mean, fleets of tanks rolling in, only to halt and then return because everybody put them on blast. Airstrikes was going that went wrong was being called off. The Gaza ceasefire was a victory where everything just stopped. See, nobody wanted to be caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And the soapbox joined the other soapbox, and we shared everything everywhere until the whole world was watching. So nobody wanted to be the bad guy in front of the whole world, not countries at least. So when all that shit was popping off, all we did was share that shit. They called us patriots, man. And every day without war was a day a couple of more were saved. But we didn't see the big picture. They didn't care about the people or the economy. This wasn't about money. It was about land. A beautiful city turned to ash just to be brought up and turned into probably another Dubai. Then I realized the victory was a slap in the face. We had actually lost. Even though so many had migrated to safe havens, their lives were literally burned down to the ground before their eyes. And at first I couldn't figure out which was worse. Continuing to live through all that hell and just living afterwards, or just genocide to begin with. I couldn't figure out which one was worse. I don't know if I would want to die or to live on after your whole life has been burned down. I don't know which is the worst punishment. Then there was false flags and people getting shot in the streets. And the pattern seemed like total mayhem to distract the split up. But after the failure, I stopped, you know? After seeing all those buildings just being destroyed and seeing a beautiful city turn to nothing but rubble, I quit. I called it a failure. We lost that. I didn't know if negating those days had brought the senseless murder and the domestic terror, which seemed obvious, and I just said that. Like, are they doing all this stuff in our country because we were sharing that shit overseas? And like I said, it just seemed like obviously done to distract us. But then I just stopped because it was too big for me to touch. So seeing a crock pot on my table right after seeing that Batman and then the Manchurian Candidate, seeing a crock pot on my table with the Patriots logo plastered around it drew some conclusions. The ass clowns laughed at every thought that ran through my head. But after seeing those movies, it almost felt like subliminal messaging. There's so many subliminal messages in the Manchurian Candidate. You just gotta watch that shit. Then I rushed to my mom to try to figure out any info on the crock pot. She said there were a bunch on sale, so she just picked that one. But to me, the message was clear. It's like, we could get to you, and we could get to your family. And the ass clowns being clueless about the whole endeavor made me see they were puppets. Somebody using them. Because they didn't know what the fuck it was. In fact, they didn't even understand or realize the political soapbox. They just thought I was just meeting people just to meet people. But everybody I met is some major people. The voices in my head were my own attention, except it had no wires. So scared as hell, I decided the best thing to do was what was best for the country, what I've been hearing for 2 days, and get that senator what she wanted. It boggled my mind. Was I the Manchurian Candidate? Was being used, then made to think about the Blumen show and what being used on their time advertisements? I mean, it made me think about it. So I started picking the shows I wanted to watch. Maybe the stuff I watched carried on to who watched me in that alternate reality. And I'll see an increase